welcome to the exciting and new podcast. This is a mini. I'm Jason.
I'm Andy.
I'm Dana.
And I'm Zach.
All right, it's another mini. Welcome back, Zach.
Do I hear myself? Yeah, I think my headphones are too low.
Were you messing with it as it was going through, or no?
No. I'm trying. I was messing with them like for 10 minutes before you got here.
I didn't know if you were adjusting as we were going through that or not. Yeah.
I made it so I could hear myself when no one else was in here, but once everybody else started talking, the music was playing, I was like, oh, I can't hear myself now. Now I'm good.
I don't have much for this week of new things that I've watched, but I'm watching a nature thing on Netflix, Life on Our Planet. It's pretty good. Morgan Freeman is the voice, so it's a good good voice, and it's just basically a nature doc. I don't think I need to go through that for anybody out there.
Is that like
if you
Planet
don't know what
Earth?
a nature doc? Yeah, basically just like one of those, and it's got 8 episodes.
Okay.
And it does a lot of things where it reenacts stuff because it goes like 450 million years ago.
Right.
It goes that
like
far
that?
back, kind of thing. But then it goes back to like nowadays,
Right.
Like that Apple one where they're actually doing like dinosaur stuff. Like
the Apple one. I didn't watch the dinosaur one yet. It's
That's
2
good.
seasons now.
Yeah.
I want to get into that one next. Yeah.
Prehistoric Planet.
But that's all I've watched so far. Yeah, it was a slow week for
Well, it's funny.
new material.
Michelle
for
and I
me.
were like, we didn't watch any shows this week, so we just started watching movies. We watched 1922, which is Thomas Jane, right? I always get those guys mixed up. Thomas Jane, though, I think it is. And it takes place in 1922, Nebraska. It's a Stephen King book. And it's kind of like the Telltale Heart. Like he's got like a wretched wife that doesn't want to sell the land. She wants to go to Topeka, and he doesn't want to go, so she's got to go. And he kills her and puts her down a well, and then it's like the sound of her body getting eaten by rats that's like driving him crazy.
What's that on?
Netflix.
Right.
It was okay. It wasn't that. It was never scary. It was a little gross here and there, but it was okay. It was. I don't know if I recommend it or not. It was
Did you watch anything scary? I know you were looking for scary stuff.
We watched Bodies, which definitely wasn't scary at all. Now I'm forgetting which one Bodies.
That's
that was
Pete
with the
Davidson
kids.
one,
Pete Davidson and Lee Pace and
Did you
a
see
bunch
that?
of kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You've seen that one, right?
Yeah, and also that 1922, I've seen that too.
Oh, did you? Okay.
That's really good. That's actually part of a book. I just had to look it up. Stephen King.
Oh, like one of his novella compilation kind of things?
4 short stories called Full Dark No Stars.
Okay, I remember when that came out. All right, yeah.
That was a good one.
I haven't read Stephen King in a long time, so maybe I'll get back into him. Bodies was good. It was listed as a comedy. I don't think I laughed. I laughed one time.
I mean, I think they try to get some humor in there. I think, and I guess because it's Pete Davidson, they think it's funny. I guess maybe sometimes I don't know, but
I'm not a fan of that guy.
And Pete Davidson's
not many people are, right?
Pete Davidson's the reason I laughed, but it's not.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about, too.
It's not because of anything he said, but that was the only time I actually like guffawed. I was like, whoa.
I'm not the biggest fan of him either, but like some of the things he's been in recently, I enjoyed. Like The King of Staten Island actually was pretty fun.
I haven't seen that.
And I think it's because there was a lot of other people in there too. Bill Burr was in that. Mike Vecchione was in that. There was a couple other comics.
And he was in
there
another
too.
movie right around the same time. I'm drawing a blank where he was not the main star, but he was like the ex-boyfriend of the sister of the main character. It was like a teenage boy, and Pete Davidson was like living in.
Yeah, The King of Staten Island.
No. King of Staten Island was his story.
Burr was his dad.
Yeah, no, this was something else. He was.
Are you thinking of Buckus?
No, not Buckus. He wasn't the main star. The other kid was the star. Pete Davidson just happened to be in a lot of scenes.
I don't think I know that one. Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Dana, what about you?
Well, I caught up on Gen V.
Oh shit!
I'm done
We
with
didn't
that.
watch the finale.
I didn't watch this week. Is this week the finale?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
I didn't
over.
watch this week. Okay.
Yeah.
Is there season 2?
I don't see why there wouldn't be.
We need Boys season 4. That's what we need.
Yeah.
But this was a good to hold you over for a little bit.
It was really great.
I really enjoyed this. Yeah.
I watched Five Nights at Freddy's, which was really good.
Oh, I watched that too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I liked it a lot.
I didn't watch it yet. It's on my list. Was that Matthew Lillard?
Yes.
Seeing that, right?
And
Josh
something?
Hutcherson.
The guy from Hunger Games, the main guy in Hunger Games.
Yeah.
That wasn't a Hemsworth.
Yes.
Do you know
No.
what that's rated?
It's PG-13.
No.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It is PG-13.
Yeah,
And it feels
I know it's
it
Nothing
feels
terrible
very
happens.
PG-13.
Yeah.
But I believe it did really well in the theater. Like, it made over
Yeah.
$150 million in the theater.
Well, if you look at the ratings, it's bad for critics, but great for the audience. And a lot of people are saying it's
But that's
because of the
most horror
video
movies.
game.
Most horror
Yeah.
movies are
Yeah.
panned by critics
But
most of the
they
time.
said
Yeah.
I played the game for a half hour. And then years ago, and I couldn't beat it, so I was like, "This game sucks."
All I
but-
remember is my nephews playing it, and they
Yeah.
would scare themselves.
Yeah.
Like, it was one of those games that they would get scared at, and then like they would drop their like
probably because things
iPad
like
and
jump,
everything,
it's like
yeah.
jump scares type things. But they said it does a lot of like fan service where it's totally catering to the fans of it.
Yeah.
Which I mean, hey, whatever. I enjoyed it, not knowing all the little things that the fans.
I didn't know it was
but-
a video game movie until we were halfway
Yeah.
through it, and Logan and Brady went walking through my house and said, 5 Nights at Freddy's? And I was like, oh, you know this one? He's like, well, we played the game. I'm like, what? This is a game?
Yeah.
And then they
And it's only
explained
on
to
your
the
phone.
game.
It's a phone game.
Never
So I was kind of like, I felt duped. I'm like, I don't like video game movies. So I was like, should I turn it off right now? Although I did like Last of Us, so
Yeah.
there are some good ones. But it was okay.
Yeah.
It started off very well, I thought,
Mm-hmm.
and then kind of got dopey
Well,
at the end. But
usually PG-13 that hurts any horror movie because it ends up being a little too watered
yeah.
down kind
You
of thing.
said
You know,
Matthew Lillard? Mm-hmm. I'll watch
He's not the
anything
star
with
of it,
him
but he's in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
he's good.
Yeah.
He's fun in the part he plays. The Pete Davidson thing I was trying to think of was Big Time Adolescence, which has your girl
Oh, I never
Sydney
heard of that.
Sweeney in it. So
I never heard of that.
yeah,
Me
this
either.
came out.
Yeah.
This is a COVID thing. I remember we watched this
Oh.
like around the same time we watched King of Staten Island, because I remember
I am a fan of Sweeney.
I remember
Sweeney,
saying
yeah.
like I don't want my entire COVID to be Pete Davidson, because we watched like 2 movies the
But it was
same
also
week.
Tiger King was your COVID too.
Yeah.
What-
Yeah.
whose
Same
was
here.
it? Whose
Yeah.
was it? That was on everybody's
Everybody
TV.
watched that.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody that didn't. I don't think. Yeah.
No. I also watched X and
right.
started Pearl, but
Oh,
I didn't
yeah.
get to finish Pearl yet.
Did you enjoy X?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
There were a lot of times a lot of times where I watched with my
Tara
hands
say,
over my eyes.
okay, this is a good pick by Jason?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I got
Well,
a good
she's,
pick.
and then she tells me, okay, you could look. And then I wait
Oh,
like
she does
5
the-
more seconds because I don't fully trust her, that there might be something really disgusting.
Yeah.
Some
I'm
of
trying to
the
think of anything in that movie,
chopping
maybe like chopping, I guess.
chopping, the smashing heads and
Yes.
dismembering.
Yes.
It's different when it's like a comedy. Like I can watch it in some things where they do that, but it's funny and it's fine. But when it's
Can you
like
do it
serious
in
like this, I can't.
Gen V, when people's
Yes,
heads
that's
just
the thing.
pop off their bodies.
Because it's supposed to be funny.
And you knew, like,
And
in
it's
that
not-
last episode of Gen V, not the most recent one, the one before that, where the girl from The Boys is on it, the senator or whatever.
Oh, right, yeah,
you
and
know
then that's
one of
what
her
she does.
powers.
Yeah, yeah.
And you know when she's talking to that guy, you're like, this dude's head's going to explode at any second.
yeah.
And then, pop! You're like,
Yeah.
okay, there it goes.
But when it's done in an evil kind of
Yeah.
movie like that, a lot of it just really like bothers me.
Well, Gen V's almost pop. It's almost like it's just like it's over the top. and
Yes,
it's
yeah.
almost so like that's obviously
when the
not going
guy's
to happen. You know.
Penis exploded. That was hilarious
God.
because he was fine in the next episode. He's walking around like nothing ever happened. to
I
him.
feel that that's almost like a
So-
dream or something like that, because he's had no ill effects from that. He's been
Yeah,
I would
seen a
think
couple
you have a lot
times.
Just
of
fine.
ill effects
Yeah.
afterwards. Yeah.
But
Have you
and
ever
I
watched
started
the
Pearl.
Boys on Amazon Prime?
I actually wanted to ask, what is this Gen V?
That's
What is
a
that?
spin-off of the Boys from how many seasons is that now?
It's been
3
three
seasons
now.
out
Yeah.
now.
Okay.
It's a superhero show, but it's not your typical superheroes. It's not your Spider-Mans and your Supermans and stuff like that. What would you call it? It's a different like universe, like a different like kind of like.
Well, they're
They're
like
like
it's like a
anti-heroes.
justice.
Yeah.
It's a Justice League, but they're like
Evil.
terrible people.
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
they're sponsored by the government. They're corporately sponsored. They care about their like Q rating in the world. Like they don't do stuff because they don't want people to think bad of them, but behind closed doors they'll do it. And so 3 seasons in, like obviously a lot of stuff's been exposed about how shitty these people are. But then Gen V is like the college version
yeah,
of
there's
it.
like a school. Like
What's this on?
Apple,
Amazon Prime.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have that.
Yeah,
highly
so
recommend
check
it out.
Watch
The
that.
Boys is great. It's a
Yeah,
really,
start
really
with
good
the
show.
Boys.
Do I have to watch that first?
It's probably
Yeah,
better.
Yeah.
It'll make more sense to you.
Yeah.
And you'll,
There are no, you don't have to, but there are a lot of references.
Yeah.
And you'll be like, why are they talking about A-Train
Yeah,
or
that'll bother me.
Homelander? You'll
Yeah.
be like, what?
Yeah, what's a Homelander? You're gonna be like, I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
and I also there's a new movie on Netflix with Chris Evans and Emily Blunt
I
called
saw
Pain Hustlers.
like 10 minutes of that and turned it
Nah.
off.
I saw the
Yeah,
picture of it.
it was
I
just
didn't-
okay. I watched the whole thing just because we started it and we were just
It's not good,
tired and bored, and
And Chris Evans was in it.
yeah, that wasn't enough. But it was just okay. It was a typical here's how prescription drugs are bad for you type of movie, and the people who got rich behind it. You've seen it a million times and a million other things.
Sacklers or whatever. What is that? That company from Pfizer, right? Or are they with Purdue?
The big sick people or whatever?
No, it's about a company you never heard of that's like kind of lower level, but it was part of the whole thing with fentanyl and all that stuff.
Oxycontin. They're the ones that created Oxycontin or whatever.
This was more because Tara. It wasn't necessarily that story, but it was based off of the story, and Tara had looked it up. It was some like lower level company you might never have heard of.
Yeah.
At least
It'll
I didn't.
cure all your pain and there'll be no side effects. What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah.
The only other thing I watched this week, I think on Halloween night, we watched Scream 6. Is that what it's called? The newest one? The most recent one?
Yeah, where it has the VI and
is that what
and
it
the
is?
A and the M. It's the VI is like that. Yeah.
They screwed up because they made a Scream without any number in the middle of all these screams. The last one. The last one with Nev Campbell was just screaming.
I don't like when they do that. They call it something and you already had that number out. It's just like, it doesn't make any sense.
It was fine. It was okay. It wasn't great, but it was fun that it was in a different kind of setting. It was in New York City, so that was different. And it was good. It wasn't great. It was good. A lot of people can get like full body stabbed, like full, like impaled with a knife, and just like, and like kind of like the knife can go like, what do you call it when you kind of like pull the knife up in a person?
Yeah.
And survive. Lots of that was happening. Lots of people were getting like disemboweled and being like, I'm just going to walk it off. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
I guess so. I guess that's happening now. At least 2 people got like that kind of stabbing where it was just like, ooh, I guess they're dead. And then they're like, yeah, I'm going to hold on to the wall for a second.
Spit like okay. Blood and they were okay.
That was the one where they had all the masks, right? Like from the previous.
Yes. There's like the shrine to all the previous movies and stuff like that.
And it had your girl from X was in there, Jenna Ortega.
Yeah, Jenna Ortega's in it, and I'm trying to think of like who else like was a big name. What's his face? Delmer Maroney or Melvin McDermott, one of those guys. I always get those guys
They're
mixed up.
interchangeable.
That guy, yeah, that guy that's him or the other guy.
Didn't David Arquette?
He's not in it.
No.
Yeah, and Nev Campbell was not. Courtney Cox was in this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I believe Courtney Cox was one of the ones that got impaled and just kind of shook.
She walked it off.
I've been
She's
in
used to it.
I've been in like 6 of these movies. I'm good. I'll be fine. And then Matthew Perry died the next day. And I was like, oh, damn, that sucks.
Did you have, what have you been, anything else that you've been watching? Or?
I got a couple things.
Yeah, let's hear it.
I watched 2 episodes from the 2002 iteration of The Twilight Zone. Did you watch that one?
Who's the host of that? Is that Forrest Whitaker?
Forrest Whitaker.
I think I watched that, yeah.
I don't remember watching all of it. I've seen some of that one.
It only ran for 1 season.
Were they all remakes? Were they all remakes of old ones?
I'm not sure about that.
I kind of remember that being the case, but it's
so they weren't new episodes. They were just old episodes redone.
Right. It's kind of like the movie was redone. Redone.
I think I'd like to go back and check that out. That might be fun.
It's a really cool like time capsule because anyone that was big at that time did an episode.
That's kind of fun.
So that was what 2002 you said?
Yeah, the one I watched had Jeremy Piven in it.
That's definitely a
I forgot about him.
Yeah.
Where's
no
he
one
been?
casts him anymore. Did he get Me Too'd? I think he got Me Too'd.
Oh, did he?
He was doing stand-up.
Oh.
Recently, I remember, and like some of the comics were getting pissed because he would come into the clubs and he would bump them. You know what I mean? And they were like, "Who is he?" Just
but doesn't that happen? I mean, I'm not saying he does it.
He doesn't
like,
mind it. They don't mind if it's like a Seinfeld
Chappelle comes in. He's like,
when Jeremy Piven's coming in and you're getting bumped from, you're like, "Yo, man, I earned this time."
Yeah,
you know,
he hasn't paid his dues as a comic, I guess.
Yep.
Huh?
And then I forget. This girl, I can't pronounce her name, but she was in River's Edge and Say Anything.
River's Edge. Oh,
Iona Sky.
Oh, Iona Sky.
Iona Sky.
She married one of the Beastie Boys.
She was in one of the episodes.
She was married to Ad Rock, I believe.
Okay.
Adam Horowitz.
I watched that, and then I watched.
River's Edge is a good movie.
Yes, it is.
That is a good one. Did that have Crispin Glover in it?
Yes,
it did. Yeah.
I liked that movie.
Yeah.
I
think that was his
Boyfriend's
first.
Back. Have you seen this?
What's this?
I think is that a horror? It's supposed to be a horror.
It's like a horror comedy.
Yeah, I've
What's
heard
it
of
called?
it.
It's called My Boyfriend's Back.
Oh no, I've heard
Within the,
really
past,
good.
within the past 10 years?
1993.
Oh, so
That's the last 10 years, isn't it? Was that like
That's 30 years.
1993 was 10 years ago,
93
right?
is 30 years ago.
That's
Shut
impossible.
up.
This is like
I was in college. then. That's
Underrated.
impossible.
well, you know how Killer Clowns from Outer Space
Yeah.
or Return of the Living Dead, like these old movies become like cult classics. I don't know how this hasn't. It's got Philip Seymour Hoffman in it, Matthew McConaughey, Renee Zell. How do you pronounce her?
Yeah,
Oh,
Zellweger,
Renee Zellweger.
yeah.
Zellweger.
What is this called?
It's got Cloris
My
Leachman
Baby's
in it.
Back.
Sleeping too.
My boyfriend's back.
My boyfriend.
My boyfriend's back.
I used to watch it. You know, our cousin Candace.
Yeah.
I used to watch this with her when we were kids all the time. Had it was directed by Bob Balaban. Who
Oh, I like
directed
Bob Balaban,
Parents,
yeah.
and he's in
Yeah.
a bunch of movies. But it was
A lot of
produced.
Christopher Guest movies.
Yeah. It was produced by Sean Cunningham.
He was also
Oh.
he's also
Friday
Phoebe's
the 13th?
dad.
Yeah.
Bob
Interesting.
Balaban is Phoebe's dad.
Yeah, yeah.
And the music
And he's,
was Harry Manfredini.
Wow. Okay.
I don't know how
Yeah.
anyone.
Was
like-
he also
He's a Seinfeld. He's NBC.
Yeah.
He's the one who's Denise Richards' father in Seinfeld. Get a good look, Costanza.
Yes. I mean, you haven't even heard of it?
I've never heard of that.
I don't
ever.
think I've ever seen that. No.
1993.
It's
Yeah,
really good.
I don't think I've seen that.
Matthew Fox is in it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
Jack
Pre
Lost.
Pre-Lost, yeah.
Pre probably Party of Five, even, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And then
Cloris
after that,
Leachman.
That's
Cloris
awesome.
Yeah,
Leachman.
you mentioned Cloris Leachman, who came on. She replaced Mrs. Garrett on
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah,
Life,
she was the last. Hey, by the way, I just for the first time noticed that this thing has an arm on it that you can adjust here.
Yeah.
So I don't know if yours does or not, but this changed my life because I've been sitting here kind of dipping down. I felt like I was hurting myself
I
doing
guess we
this
shouldn't be
podcast.
messing around while we're doing
Nah, listen, this is the mini. This is the test for
fun,
the
though.
real. But I just figured out that I could pull this thing up, and I'm like, oh, I don't have to like dip my head down. I was,
And then you can do this for when you fart.
Oh my god.
I don't know. I thought this was a game changer. I didn't have to bend down to do this podcast.
Because I think
It was
about that,
really
you know,
hurting
when
my
they do it
neck.
on Stern, it would be like they got the mic all the way down.
yes.
They didn't
Oh
put the
my
mic
God.
straight down like that.
I like you have like the damper thing.
He put this here because I was spitting. Was I spitting?
I don't remember the reason why. He's like,
I think I
Jason
might have
needs
popped my
this.
peas
You're the only
too
one,
much.
yeah.
I popped
Oh.
my peas way too much or something like that.
And
Okay.
that stops it?
He
Cuts
put
it
it up
down, I
there and he
guess.
said, use this. And I was like, okay, but how come he doesn't
It's funny. When you said Jeremy Piven's stand-up comedians, I remembered that my mom came up the other day because she took Danny to New York to see a play with Danny DeVito.
Oh, yeah, how was it?
I need that. I think it's called, or I want that. They said it was great. They had a real good time. But so she was over the other night. So we're like, my mom's here, Michelle's mom's here. What are we gonna watch? Like, it's a very specific window
Yeah.
of what
Can't watch
all
a
of us.
series,
Yeah,
yeah.
you don't want to watch a series. Like, my mom can handle a lot of nonsense, but Nancy can't. And so we're like, what are we gonna do? I think the last time they were both in our house, we watched Cocaine Bear, which really tells you like that tells
That
you
was a
like
fun
what we
movie,
got.
man. I like
so
that
we
movie.
actually watched the most recent Brian Regan stand-up special
Okay.
from Red Rocks.
the
Actually.
Red Rock one where
Rocks.
it's- where he first
he's
sees white
gray.
hair, right?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
comes in. He's like the first thing. He's like, "Well, just address the gray right off the bat, so you're not like all night going like, did you know
Who is
about
he?
the gray hair?" So that was really funny. And then
That was at Red Rocks, right?
yeah, it's really great. And then they went to bed, and I stayed up, and I was on Netflix with the comedy thing up, and I watched Anthony Jeselnik's most recent special. God damn, man, that guy is very funny, but in a very particular way.
Oh,
like you
yeah.
really have to like
Yeah.
this kind
Yeah.
of humor. And
You still want to get tickets?
yeah,
for that,
yeah, I
right?
do want to see him. But man, like as I'm watching him, I'm like, you can't like him. Like you don't like him. You find him funny, but man, he is not a likable
He's not a
person.
likable person.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
He knows it, too.
Of course, he plays it because a lot of this stand-up special was saying like, this joke is going to decide who the cool people in the room are and who aren't. It's another like baby rape joke or something like that because most of his jokes are
Yeah.
about like raping children.
Dead
Him
babies,
specifically,
yeah.
like there's so many times where he does a lot of that. The joke ends,
Misdirection
and then
kind of
he
thing.
says something else, and it's usually about him fucking a kid. I'm just like, Jesus, man. Okay, I guess that's your thing, but
He's really good at that.
yes, he is.
He's good at that.
Yeah, he is. He's funny. He is funny, but man, he is not likable at all. Like
Yeah.
some people are funny and likable. Brian Regan is funny and
Yeah.
likable, but
Love him.
Cheselnik is not likable in any
I've
way.
never seen Regan in concert.
Yeah,
You've
we've
seen him in concert, right?
I've seen him like 3 or 4 times. We saw him in Atlantic City in the
Borgata.
It must have been the Borgata because I think it was before the Hard Rock was a thing, and that was the one where Jim Brewer was sitting right next to Michelle the whole time.
Yeah.
And like I heard his laugh, and I'm like, "Who's laughing like that?" And I look over, I'm like, "Holy shit! It's Jim Brewer with his whole family, like his kids, his wife. They were sitting right next to us."
You would think they would be like hanging backstage.
You would have thought,
him, you know what I mean?
And then Michelle and I saw him, just the two of us, and we saw him one time with like her brother and wife, and we went with my parents one time at State Theater. So yeah, maybe 4 times.
Nice.
Yeah, he's good. He's funny.
Yeah, I like him.
And it's weird because he's clean, but
it's hard to be clean.
It's actually funnier that he's so clean and does the stuff he does. But yeah, he's an interesting
Nate
talent.
Bargatze, he's one of those other clean.
And I noticed I saw 2 of his specials were on Netflix, and after he was just
host
on Saturday Night Live, I was like, oh, maybe I'll watch some of his specials because that one clip of him is going around. I don't know if you saw it, where it's the Revolutionary War, and they're talking about how they're going to we're fighting to do feet and inches rather than meters, and everything's that
was a bit in his monologue.
Is that part? Is that part of his stand up and stuff like that?
His monologue a little bit.
So that was funny. He's like, we're going to call 2 tons or 2,000 pounds a ton. Like, what are we going to call 1,000 pounds? Nothing. and then Tracy Morgan, or not Tracy Morgan, Jesus Christ, Keenan's like, he's like, and we're going to free all
racist,
the,
right?
Yeah, he's like, we're going to free all the black people, right? And he's like, yeah, and we're gonna have different measurements for liquids too. Keenan's like, what?
Should we call this one, you think?
Sure.
All right. I'm not going to try to throw to Spreaker that much anymore because we're going to be going away from Spreaker soon, right?
I don't know if we have to. We have a free version of it. There's a free version of it. I can keep posting there. So
all right, so we'll see if that's going to be the way we're going to go. So,
I thought I heard the music.
I thought I did too.
Like, is it so low? No, it's definitely not there.
I thought I heard it for a second there too, but
it's just in my head going.
This has been we're the Exciting and New podcast on all our socials. Download, rate, subscribe, review, do all those things. And it's the Jazoo on Instagram, Jazoo74 on Twitter. This has been the Exciting and New mini podcast. I'm Jason.
AE Gonzo1 on Twitter, AE Gonzo1970 on Instagram. I'm Andy.
Dana Cap 77 on Instagram and Dana Caps on TikTok. I'm Dana.
VHS_graveyard on Instagram, and I'm Zach. Thanks.
Nice.